A bunch of them.
Yeah. And you said that like at first you were like, I don't really know, but I'm trying to piece it together. Do you remember the moment when it like clicked for you? Like, oh, I think this is real.
It was shortly after. It was just me with my guard up, being that conspiracy guy. I'm like, and knowing him for a couple weeks, it's like, I'm not dismissing what he's saying. It's just like I'm not all in yet.
Oh, I was the same way.
Yeah, and then I think you started showing me pictures like when I came to your house. And it was like seeing the pictures and then sitting with you and listening to the way that you talk. I mean, it's really, for me, the passion and conviction that you speak with that really, there's no doubt in my mind. You and your father. But like, I met you before I met him.
Right.
Well, that's what else I wanted to talk about.
Oh, what, meeting Dad for the first time?
Yeah. Well, follow-up question for you, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Are you having fun?
I am having a blast, actually. Yeah, this is cool.
This is really weird. Like, I didn't think it would feel that weird, but it's pretty awesome.
It does feel, I mean, I'm happy, but I love my job. This feels weird.
I just enjoy pretending that I'm you.
For me, it's the power.
We know.
and responsibility. Yeah.
We know.
Like, you guys have a hard job, though.
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean, yeah,
it's a lot of pressure.
Like, I'm not excited to edit this because I don't like listen. I
don't need to edit this.
No. I mean, like,
unless you. I'm just kidding.
Unless I say some shit. No. I mean, like, I have to edit it. Like, it has to go out.
Right.
I don't want to listen to myself talk.
No, you're gravy, baby.
I'm hoping my friends that don't really talk to me about the podcast listen to this, but
they will. We'll force them to.
Yeah. I'll strap them to a chair and put headphones on or something. Oh,
I would love to hear about when you first met Chris.
It was, so let me cut in real quick. Okay, I worked with him for 14 months. So I started there August of 2018. I know that it was the week of my birthday. And I left in October of 2019. Remember, it was the day after I proposed to my wife. Remember? It was the day after I proposed.
That's crazy. No, I don't remember.
And it's because I got offered another gig that was offering a lot more money. And I was like,
I remember because you got like headhunted. You had a client come in, work with you buying furniture, and then offered you a job.
Pretty much, yeah. Like on the spot.
I was like,
it took me weeks.
I was happy for you, but I was really bummed that whole thing was coming to an end.
Aww.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, our friendship never
obviously
dwindled. I mean,
obviously we're here.
Dude, the next year we started the podcast.
It was a blessing. So, like, it was a blessing.
We started the podcast, or we started planning the podcast in 2020. I left the company at the end of 2019. The day after I proposed, I had already been being scouted by this other guy in a different industry. For 2 weeks, I was considering it. I proposed to my wife, and I was like, let's go. Major life change. Let's plunge.
Giddy up, baby.
And I was very, upfront with Alex about it. We stayed friends the whole time. Obviously, we're still here. But anyway, so my point is, I was going somewhere with that.
Meeting your dad.
The timing, yeah. So shortly after I left the company, and we progressed our friendship outside of work, but like hanging out, And I was like, you know what? Let's take a trip to Fayetteville. I want you to meet Dad, and I think it'll be really cool, and maybe we'll have some sightings.
Real quick, this was after how long of knowing each other? Oh, this was
a year or two.
So this was after you left? Okay,
yes,
gotcha.
Yes. And it was like we'd only known each other about 2 years at this point. And I don't think you had a sighting that night.
I didn't.
But when you left, we had sightings.
No. There's something else.
Okay.
You'll remember. I'll start telling the story. So you're like, hey, man, I'm going up for the night or the day. Like, you were just going for the day. Do you want to go with me? I was like, hell yeah. So get in the car. I remember driving up there. You were telling me all about these stories. You were telling me the story with...
Did we ride together?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm thinking of a difference.
It was me, you, and Jenny, and you took me up there, and you were telling me the story about the people who came to the house with the material and put the material in your dad's hand. You're gassing me up the whole way. I'm so stoked. I'm like, we're going to see some orbs. Like, I'm finally going to... Like, I was all in my head about it, and I was all in my head about, we're going to see something. And then it was in the back of my head, am I worthy? Like, is it like...
The same thing I struggled with as a kid.
Right. Is it like...
everyone around you seeing it, am I worthy to see it?
If we don't see it, is it me? Yeah. That's what was going through my head.
Right.
And so we got there, and then somebody else shows up. Vincent.
Yeah.
So Vincent and Eileen show up.
Shout out Vincent.
So I met both of them
from an earlier episode.
Yeah, love Vincent.
Yeah.
Vincent reminds me of my dad and my mom's father, my grandfather, mixed into one person. And he really dogged on me in our episode. So I have a very in my head I have a very good relationship with Vincent. I don't know how Vincent feels.
No, he's great.
He's a great guy.
He's a wonderful guy.
So I met them on the same day, and I kind of soft pitched to your family and to Vincent the podcast.
I don't remember.
Night, I was telling him, I was like, the way Ryan talks, like he needs to have a podcast. Like, blah blah blah. The first thing Vincent said to me, he shook my hand. He said, "Are you human?"
I remember that.
That messed with me until Ryan's wedding.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. Anyway, we didn't see anything. Your dad never got up and was like, they're here. We didn't go out there and see anything. I went out there and spent time looking in the sky. Never saw anything. I'm like, damn, I guess they don't like me or whatever. And we're riding home. And we're like in Wilmington. And the whole time we were talking about music. Am I starting to ring any bells here?
No.
Because I'm going to need your help in the story.
Okay.
And
I remember the day. I don't remember every little thing that was said.
And stop me if this is if I shouldn't be talking about this. But you were talking to me about the messages in the music and the songs that your dad was instructed to listen to get the message.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't include any of that in the book, actually.
So I'm still cool to keep pressing. I'm going to need your help with the first two songs. Because I don't remember.
I remember. Dude, this blew your mind.
This was better.
I remember now.
This was better than seeing anything.
Yeah. This rocked your world.
All right. We're in the car, but we have to take a break from this story to provide more backstory. So because I had moved out, me and my dad's relationship started really improving, hoping to have my dad.
It always does.
Soon.
When you move out, man, now your parents are like,
we're best friends. Yep. And we were listening to Neil Young one night in the car. And my dad dropped a bomb on me, man. And he's like, I can't listen to the song because it makes me cry. But we're listening to this song, and I won't say it because I'll say it when I finish the next story. And he's like, when I die, I want you to play this song at my funeral. Mm-hmm. I'm like, fuck. Like, how are you going to drop that on me right now? So I'm like, oh, man, you just ruined this whole song for me. So he tells me, this is months prior to being in the car with Ryan. He tells me this song. I'm like, okay. So fast forward months now, we're back in the car. Ryan's talking to me about the magic or the message in the music from your dad. What were the first two songs? It was a Led Zeppelin song.
It was After the Gold Rush.
Oh, you ruined the story.
You said what were the first two songs?
No, After the Gold Rush was the third song.
No, I don't think so.
So you told me the first two songs. And
it was The Battle for Evermore by Led Zeppelin and After the Gold Rush, Neil Young.
Okay, well then I'm mixing up the story. But you told me one of the songs, and you were about to tell me the second song, and I interrupted you and said, you know what song I really like, man, is After the Gold Rush. And you were like, that was the song I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge synchronicity on that song because I told you what my dad had told me before you told me
before we ever
the second or third song was
and for people out there, like, you have to understand, we're how many episodes in now? What is this? 95, 96?
94.
94 episodes in, and I still have not been able to unpack everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 16 years worth of experiences and conversations and data and investigations. It would take like a week-long retreat just talking all day at somebody to get all this information out. So we're hanging out years and I'm like, oh bro, I forgot to tell you about this. My dad had an experience in 2017 with blah 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 blah. And it comes as time goes on, we talk about more things. There's levels to this. And for those who are not at all familiar with what we're talking about, around 2015, my dad, or actually a little sooner. Yeah, I was in high school. He started getting these downloads from music. He started obsessively listening to certain Led Zeppelin songs and some other things like After the Gold Rush by Neil Young. There's a Van Halen song called Love Walks In. And there were these different songs that he was getting this strong download from the phenomenon that there was a very sincere message in them. like a spiritual message. I mean, Love Walks In by Van Halen, it says something, you can pull up the lyrics if you want, but it says something like an alien, love walks in, it's like a shining lady. Hotel California, there's some sort of lady message in that.
Pull up After the Gold Rush lyrics.
After the Gold Rush is crazy. It talks about silver saucers taking the chosen people to the sun. And anyway, so Dad starts talking about this to a guy by the name of Grant Cameron, who was at the time, he was a prolific UFO researcher. You know, like he had even won an award in 2012.
I follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean he researches a lot of stuff. I'm saying that for the audience sake, but he came to our property and started having these conversations with Dad about the phenomenon putting messages through music and through artists and musicians. He went and started obsessively researching that, listening to interviews of rock stars, pop stars, and hearing them talk about having UFO sightings and putting that in their music and all this and that. He wrote a whole book on it. He wrote a whole book inspired by the concept of my dad getting downloads from the phenomenon through music. I can't remember the name of the book, but he even credits my dad as being the catalyst for him, wanting to research this. And that's what we were talking about. And I was breaking that to Alex, and it's just so crazy because After the Gold Rush is one of those songs.
I got the lyrics if you want to hear a little bit of it.
Sure.
I was gonna say we should probably, I think we've talked about this song before, but the lyrics are shocking. So let me just breeze through a couple lines. The first line is, "Well, I dreamed I saw the knights in armor coming, saying something about a queen." That's already the lady,
and
literally.
Angels.
Yeah, there were peasants singing and drummers drumming, and the archer split the tree. What does that sound like? That's pretty wild. There was a fanfare blowing to the sun that was floating on the breeze. Look at Mother Nature on the run in the 1970s. And then later in the song, there's a line that says, this is so wild. There's a line that says, "Well, I dreamed I saw the silver spaceships lying in the yellow haze of the sun. There were children crying and colors flying all around the chosen ones." Like, what is this song even about?
I've got goosebumps. I'm about to cry.
Yeah, dude, it says, "Flying Mother Nature's silver seed to a new home in the sun." Like,
now we're going to talk about something deep that I've never said on the podcast before.
Okay.
And it's also not in the book.